Happy Wealth Wednesday. So excited to have you here. You have been such an incredible friend and also, I think, role model in investing in socially responsible startups, especially those led by women and people of color. And as we're diving into the world of venture capital, couldn't be a better person to have here today. So thank you so much for joining. I'd love for you to share a little bit about you, maybe a quick introduction.
My name is Abyah Wynn. I am originally from Atlanta, Georgia. I've been in LA for about 15 years. My background was originally in advertising and marketing and kind of fell into finance and venture capital about 7 years ago. And it's been the most fun and exciting ride of my life. And I can't wait to see where it takes me next.
What was your first ever investment? What got you started?
My first ever investment. So when I got my first job in venture, I had no idea what I was doing. I was actually brought in to be on the operations side. My first role was head of U.S. operations, business development, and investor relations. And I was working for a multifamily office in Australia, which during my time there evolved into a hybrid private equity venture capital shop. And what I did not realize going into the role is that, number one, it would be a huge learning curve, which I readily accepted that challenge. But also, I was the only person in the US. And so not only was I doing what I was hired to do, but I was wearing so many hats. And so that's really how I got exposure into investing. It's because, I had to meet with founders and diligence deals, source deals, build relationships in the VC community, et cetera. So I have this new big job. I'm talking to my dad about it, and I'm finally making good money. And he said, well, you're not going to spend all that, right? And I said, well, I kind of want to, but obviously that's not the smart thing to do. And so he started talking to me about financial responsibility and saving. And he had been working with his financial advisor, wealth advisor, for a number of years, and actually gifted, his name is Alan, he's amazing. He gifted Alan to me, and I've been working with Alan ever since. And so when we started chatting about what my goals were, and what my risk tolerance is, I was really interested in tech because, that's what I was seeing on a daily basis. So to answer your question, one of my first investments was investing in Tesla. And now it's, one of the largest holdings that I have in my portfolio. And I'm really glad that I got in when I did. And yeah, I love it. I'm super excited about that investment.
Okay, so now you're in venture capital. You do a lot of work in this VC space, kind of accidentally, like you just shared. How and why did you get into this space, the space of venture?
So I was working for a boutique investment banking firm focused on M&A transactions. I was poached over by the Australians. And when I, started learning more about the industry and how I fit into the industry, and like I said earlier, because I was wearing so many hats and getting so much exposure, and I found myself in various rooms with influential and affluent people, and I started to look around these rooms, and I noticed a couple things. One was that I wasn't seeing myself in these rooms, and two, there was a lot of capital being circulated in these rooms, and it wasn't going to people that looked like me. Because what I also learned is people do business with people that they like, and people do business with their friends, and it's all about network. And so I did a lot of research on the funding gap between, white male founders and minority or female founders, and the gap is pretty disparaging. And so I thought, I have an opportunity to kind of flip the script a little bit and invest in founders and companies that I'm really passionate about, and also, do good and do well in the process.
That leads perfectly into this next question, which is, what role do you play in the wealth space, and why is it important?
So after I did that research and I presented it to my managing director, not only did we think that it was a great mission to kind of get behind, but also it's just good business. These companies have a lot of upside, and it's a great business decision. You can make a lot of money by investing in underestimated or underrepresented founders. And so, I thought that we would just implement kind of a mandate or be more intentional about investing in underrepresented founders. And my managing director actually came to me and he said, this is a great investment thesis. What would you say if I suggested we partner on a fund? I was kind of blown away, but really excited about the opportunity and the potential. And so we partnered on building out a micro fund under the parent company's umbrella. It was called 2065. And the thesis was around democratizing access to capital. So investing in diversity in the broadest sense, LGBTQ community, women, minorities, Black and brown founders, veterans, etc. Those are the people that I really wanted to include in this fund.
What do you think is the most exciting thing you've learned on this journey? Something that you would want others to know, especially as they're embarking in, diving into venture capital or maybe making some of their first investments?
The most important thing that I've learned, and we kind of touched on this earlier, it has nothing to do with investing and it has nothing to do with finance or work. It's really more about the self and self-care. So, and I'm still working on it, but the most important thing that I've learned is that it's okay to say no, and it's okay to say, I don't know. I think a lot of us, especially women, we deal with imposter syndrome on a daily basis, and we feel like we don't belong in these spaces and we have nothing to contribute. And that's a fallacy. And I have to remind myself of that every day. Like, I belong here. I deserve to be here. I am worthy of being here. And so just giving yourself grace, I think, is the biggest thing that I've learned.
Is there a person or a company that inspires you in this space, and why?
I mean, you're one of them. I would say there are two that come to mind off the bat. Sarah Kuntz has been such a light in my life. She's always looking out for me and, sending opportunities my way. I admire her because, like me, she comes from a non-traditional venture background, and, has raised a fund, is super connected, gets incredible deal flow, and she's just a wonderful person. And then also, goals. Melody Hobson, I'm obsessed with her. She has this ridiculously successful husband, and yet she is such a star in her own right. And I love that, she's not George Lucas's wife, like she's Melody Hobson, and she has Ariel Investments, which is, crushing it in every way, shape, form, and fashion. And I respect her so much.
And any advice to someone getting started?
My advice for an angel getting started would be to seek out a local angel network. The one that I'm familiar with and that's near and dear to my heart is Pipeline Angels. They're focused on inclusivity and are adamant and huge proponents of investing in women and femmes. And I just really appreciate and love what they're doing. A lot of universities have angel networks. I know Stanford has an angel network. Professionally, there are scout programs. So Lightspeed has a scout program. Sequoia has a scout program. Even Sarah's fund, Clio Capital, has a scout program. And so with scout programs, you work side by side with a VC. They give you an allocation to allocate in startups that are in your network but might not be in theirs. And there's typically like an investment memo or diligence process that they'll train you on. And so you're not only learning, but you're also building a track record so that you kind of get a jump start on, making your way through the closed door that is venture capital.
Anything else we should know? How do we stay in touch with you, follow you, what you're doing, what you're investing in?
I actually just started at a new fund. I'm managing a fund called True Culture Fund with True Capital Management. and we are focused on investing in Black and Brown founders. We partnered with Y Combinator to actually invest in most, if not all, of the Black founders this current cohort, and we'll hopefully continue that partnership going forward. And you can find me on LinkedIn. My name is Abyah Wynn. My email address is Abyah@truecapitalmanagement, which is ngmt.com.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for everything you share, the resources, everything about being a scout, and also just for being such a visionary and role model in the space. I always love following what you're investing in, and just like you as just an extremely genuine, interesting person. So thank you for being here, and very appreciative of you.